I think now more than ever is the most appropriate time to talk about Twilight. The time is like 2:45 and all I can think about is that I want to read Twilight. I remember from when I was reading it for the first time, all I could think was, how can I start reading again? Like the whole week was just structured around me trying to find excuses to read more of the book. So having this same feeling and the same craving so many years later, is it even a decade later? It's closer to a decade than it's not. It's just insane and it's very late. And I have one of the worst headaches ever, and you know, medicine cannot fix it because of the concussion. So what I'm gonna do is just read some Twilight. Yeah, let's get into it. Oh, by the way, I'm listening to the audiobook, which was recorded in like 2009, and I really hate the narrator. Like, she's not changing her voice at all to do like the male characters, which maybe that was how the trend was at the time. But you know, when it's a franchise this popular, you know, they should redo it, record it all over again. And I know that in Midnight Sun it's gonna be like a famous actor recording it. You know, have you watched The Host? Do you remember him? So he is recording the book and I hope he does like different voices. I think he got the job for recording the book because I feel like he's like Stephanie's actual friend, because she was in one of a booktuber's video, like the blonde girl. He made a cameo in one of her videos when she was interviewing Stephanie, so I have to assume that they're friends. So maybe that's why he got the role. But I just hope it wasn't just for that, because I've already pre-ordered it, but in England, because I thought I wouldn't make it to Greece for the summer. So my book is gonna be there while I'm here. Anyway, let me read. I'm in chapter 6. Scary stories. Ooh. I don't want to be scared. By the way, if you can see the man at my door, that's Michael Scofield from Prison Break, and every time I stare at my door, I get scared because I think someone is there, but I have to pretend it's not there, because I don't want to take it down, because it's one of the things that I have from when I was a teenager, and I want to keep it there. Okay, I feel like it is boring if I don't speak throughout the video, so hear me out. Jacob has never had a chance with Bella in the books. In the movies, they go out of the way to introduce him first to Bella, so that the viewers get confused and consider him a love interest. But even if Edward was dead, or better yet, never existed, even then, Jacob wouldn't end up with Bella. I just reached a point in the book where Bella listens to a CD of like a rock band, and I remember when I was younger and I heard that she was like listening to the whole album on a loop. I was like, oh god, the girl's gone insane, the girl's gone mad, and I thought she was just like a drama queen. And here I am, 22 years old, sleeping with a night light on because I'm afraid of my own shadow. So it's very justifiable for her to be spooked out. And I completely get it now. I really thought that there was going to be a reference to what band she was listening to. I thought it was going to be Linkin Park, which is one of my favorite bands. I don't know where to find it now, and I'm upset. Because like this scene is a scene that I remember very vividly from when I was reading it, like 7 years ago. Complaints to make about the audiobook of Twilight. Okay, this was recorded in like 2009, and the narrator is so bad at narrating everything. Maybe that was the style back then, that you don't really change your voice between characters. And you know, some narrators, like for example Armie Hammer in Call Me By Your Name, that they keep like the same kind of tone for most characters. Like they can get away with it, but like
with her, it's so noticeably bad that I've actually made a timestamp so I can replay this for you. We're at page 140/141, and it's the moment where Bella is walking on her own and those thugs approach her in order to like assault her. So the phrase that I want you to listen to, he is basically saying, "Get in." I'm sorry. He's basically saying, "Get in." A furious voice commanded. You know, I'm not a professional, but it's very specific on the text that "get in" is in a furious voice.
Get in, a furious voice commanded. It was amazing how
What?
Get in, a furious voice commanded.
That's your furious voice? Girl, get your shit together. Oh my god, and what upsets me the most is because I'm enjoying reading this book so much, but I need the audiobook in order to help me, otherwise I would like read it in a snail's pace. But that's the voice that I will have to tolerate for the entire series. And don't get me wrong, I'm not even a fuzzy like listener. Usually with audiobooks, in order for me to notice how bad a performance is, it needs to be like extremely bad, because I listen to the audiobooks in twice the speed. But with her, it's like so obvious. Like I remember Crooked Kingdom, I remember reading the reviews of the audiobook and saying, who cast these people? They're all terrible. And I remember being just confused because, excuse you, it's still not focused. Oh my god, the audacity. Okay, I remember in Crooked Kingdom, my battery's just gone off. Are we being serious? What the f? By the way, have you watched my Call Me By Your Name video? That's what I'm editing at the moment. And if you didn't notice, I'm procrastinating editing it because I want to read. I'm gonna read some more of the book, and I think I'm done complaining for now. Okay. Back to reading. What I love about the books is what Big Joel pointed out in his video essay. Bella gets whatever she sets her mind into. She is rewarded for every independent decision she ever made. And I feel like that is a great moral that nobody ever points out. Apart from Big Joel, obviously. Oh my god, page 149. I just spotted my favorite joke that I still remember to this day, and I got so disappointed because this joke used to be hilarious in Greek. Bella is with Edward at the restaurant to eat, and she's like, well, I do have a few questions, of course, and his reply is, of course. But like in Greek it was so much funnier because instead of using of course, they used a different word, which was like something like, oh, God knows you do. Like that's the only joke I remember from the Twilight series. I mean, there's so many more jokes that I hadn't kept in memory, I guess, but I'm just sad. This was such a, like, I've been waiting for this joke for so long, like to the point that, like, I remember when I held the Twilight book, the first thing I did, not this one, the Greek one, like I went back to find that joke because it's so funny, but it wasn't. It's so good that I'm annotating it because now I can see all the nice parts. This book gives me such warm feelings. All I want to do is read this book. There is this scene in page 128 that I still remember very vividly. Like, what I like about this book is that it has some very specific imagery. There is this scene where Bella takes a book and a blanket and she goes outside to read in the sun, and like I remembered that scene so vividly. And there's also like so many cooking scenes that I enjoy so much and I still remember. I love that about the book. I love how strongly opinionated she is and she doesn't let insecurities get between her and what she wants. So I really appreciate that. And she's so sassy and outspoken. I don't understand how anyone ever thought that she was a blank character. Like, she's so interesting as a person and she has so many opinions about everything. She's telling him that he dazzles people and he's like, do I dazzle you? I love that. I love that. It's so creative. Oh, and then he said something hilarious. Like, he was just going on about how it's impossible for somebody to get in trouble in a city so small, but she like found a way. And he's like, you would have devastated her crime rate statistics for a decade, you know? That's so funny. He's funny. She's like, maybe you shouldn't keep saving me, maybe because you're interfering with fate. And he's like, your number was up the first time I met you. Boy! He's basically saying that he wanted to murder her, but I'm like, marry me please? Okay, that's it. Hi, I have already filmed all of this footage before, but I don't know where it's gone. certainly not where it's meant to be. I have to pretend that I'm reading again so I can have this vlog proportion ready, or I've fully finished the book and annotated it like so. To make things even sadder, this is how much I have covered so far, and this is my lost footage. Can you feel my pain yet? I hope you do. So now we'll follow a time lapse of me pretending to read while I'm flipping through all of the tabs so I can see which ones I need to still talk about, although I've already done it in the past. But you know, I don't hate this. I don't hate this at all. Let's pretend to read. Okay, because everybody knows this story, I don't need to go through it chronologically. I want to talk about every tab, but in categories. So I'm gonna take each color and talk about it. You can see that there's lots of yellow ones, and that's all the fun ones. And I feel like that is because Stephanie has a very good sense of humor. And to make something clear, these are not all the tabs that I have annotated. The book is much more annotated, but in reality, I don't need to talk about everything that I've ever underlined. So let me just give some examples about the yellow tabs, which is the funny part. Are you ready? Page 21. The phrase, "if looks could kill," suddenly ran through my mind. The irony. Okay, page 71 is when Edward is trying to ask Bella to prom, but not really, but like he's like the fifth guy in a row that's going to approach her, and she's like, "Are you trying to be funny?" Page 76 is one of my favorite funny pages. "I think you've made your opinion on the subject of my intellect clear too." Then it's page 216, and he's basically leaving her alone for a night to go hunting or something. He's like, "Please be safe," and she's like, "I'll do the laundry tonight. That ought to be fraught with peril." I don't know what fraught meant, so I don't know if I pronounced it right. That was very funny. Did you hear that? A funny joke. Page 239. "As if I needed another motive to kill you." Page 255. Very human. I complimented him. It's certainly reception. Page 261. Edward stays over for the first time at Bella's house. She looks very tense because Charlie doesn't know he's there, and Charlie is just locking everything up and double checking her, and she's like, "Apparently I look a little overexcited." Page 324. This is one of my favorites again. She's like, "I'll never be able to sit through dull old Major League Baseball again," and he's like, "And it sounds like you did so much of that before." Now I want to get to the green tags, the most relatable ones, and I'll have a couple of anecdotes for that as well. So page 180, there's something very relatable, and it's about Jessica and Bella, who are talking about Mike and him asking Jessica out, and it's like, "We spend the rest of the book dissecting sentence structures and most of Spanish on a minute description of Mike's facial expressions." Okay, so this is my favorite, and there's an anecdote that's coming with it. Page 182. It's when Bella sits with Edward to eat for the first time during lunch, and he's like, "Jessica's analyzing everything I do. She'll break it down for you later." This was so freaking relatable to me. You cannot imagine. Okay, so little story time. You can skip if you won't go there. So in order to study abroad in England, I had to do two foundation years alongside school. So I would take after school classes, and there I met a dude, let's call him Mark, who I had a crush on. So I needed to do a PowerPoint presentation that was very like official. It was like the one presentation that you get to do. So I got to do a project with him, and we got to rehearse our lines to each other. His group was the first one to present, and then my group was meant to present. And I remember when he presented, his whole group left the theater in order to celebrate outside, and I was so sad because I wanted him to be there to see me perform my speech. Then in the audience was one of my favorite people in the world, Katerina, one of my best friends ever. She was in the crowd, and she knew how he looked like. So when I was up in the podium, I couldn't really see if he was there or not. So I was very sad. And this is a picture from that time. I know I had long hair. I'm gonna grow it out sometime. And also have some photos with my whole speech from that point of view. At the break of the presentations, I went up to my friend, and she basically analyzed every single gesture that he did, because he came back into the theater in order to watch me perform. She was like, he was doing this and that and that, and like she was basically like analyzing every point of my speech in which he reacted and how he was reacting. And she was like, "Oh my god, she paid attention so much." And then, months later, I found the footage of my speech from like a classmate or something, and I could see him through the reflection and all of his reactions. But you know, he had a girlfriend, and now they have a child, so it didn't work out, but it's fine. It's such a lovely memory. Okay, page 204, we get the explanation on why the book is called Twilight. And he's like, "It's Twilight. It's the safest time of the day for us. So I'm gonna go through the cute parts now. 2:47, it's their first kiss, and I've annotated it, first kiss. Since thinking that ideal moment of anticipation, sometimes better than the kiss itself. And then it's funny, what neither of us was prepared for was my response, because he was thirsty for that kiss. And it's like, oops. He's like, that's an understatement. Okay, page 275. I love you, I whispered. You're my life now, he answered simply. There was nothing more to say for that moment. Page 313 is when he's taking her to the baseball game, and he's saying to Charlie, she'll be safe with me, I promise her. Charlie couldn't doubt Edward's sincerity. It rang in every word. My boy. 353 is when they're about to split in order to protect Bella from James, the attacker that smelled her blood and wants to hunt her down. And Bella is at the same room as Jasper, and Jasper has this thing of feeling other people's emotions, and he tells her, I can feel what you're feeling now, and you are worth it. Page 434, which is the final page. I love you more than everything else in the world combined. Isn't that enough? Yes, it is enough, he answered, smiling. Enough for forever. And then my favorite part is the fact that there is like the first chapter of New Moon there, and I remember when I first got the book I actually read it. Okay, so now it's time to film my outro. I haven't worn this dress in years because I've aggressively outgrown it, because I've gained 10 kilos since I was an athlete back in high school, but I'm wearing it in honor of my 16-year-old self who would have worn that in a date with Edward for sure. My overall thoughts about this book. This was iconic. Reading this book, I felt like I was 16 years old again, and I was feeling these sweet feelings of first loves all over again, and it was a very intimate thing to be in the same bed reading the same book that once introduced me into the world of romance. It was an amazing experience, and I wouldn't trade it with anything else. It felt like not only was I transported at the time that I was 16, but that I was actually 16 when reading it. I experienced all the emotions all over again. It felt very raw and very real. In a way, I feel very sad because this is the only book with which I will have this sort of experience. Anyway, that was everything. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye! I know nobody's gonna request this, but I'm never gonna make an annotation video because it's so simple. I read, and then if I see a nice line that I like, I just underline it. And if I want to put more emphasis into it, I put it in a square or in a circle. It really depends. I'm not fussy, it's not one or the other. And if I want to put even more emphasis into it, for example, let me find you. I will put at the side of the paragraph the specific scene that this is. If I'm flipping through the book in the future, for example, I want to know which scenes are which. So, oh, this is, for example, a quote that I really liked about first love. So if I'm looking for it, I'll know where to find it. Because do you see all of these? I never do that. I've never done that. And I don't know if I will do that in the future. Oh, since I'm holding this prop, I need to tell you a story. So this little lamp I've had since I was in high school, and what I used to do, because it's detachable from like my bedside, I would take it off and I would put it underneath my covers so I can read in secret, because my rebellion when I was in high school was to stay up past bedtime to read books. And I remember doing that for the Hunger Games trilogy, and oh my god, I used to go to bed at like 2 AM on a school night.